Hey guys, what's up? This is GK from techpp.com and I'm back for a very interesting war here. I wouldn't call it a war, but a very interesting battle. And that would be for the Yureka versus the Redmi Note 4G. We did a part 1 of this video and the Yureka came up slightly a better winner when the specs and the design were compared. So let's go right ahead and compare different other aspects like the camera, the battery and the performance, and then we'll come to the very interesting conclusion. So first up, the camera. The Yureka has a 30 megapixel shooter, so does the Redmi Note 4G, but the Yureka, when you talk about the hardware itself, has a slight edge because it comes with the Sony IMX 135 lens, whereas the Redmi Note has the normal Samsung lens. And the Yureka has got a blue filter that allows for more light to come in, and thereby you should expect good low light pictures. And the front-facing camera itself, you have the 5 megapixel shooter in both and similar lenses in both of them. So how did it fare well? I have some pictures I've taken in many different conditions along with the video. So let's go right ahead and compare the two of them. So on the top I have the Redmi Note 4G, and towards the bottom I have the Yureka itself, and I'll go into the different pictures that I've taken in different conditions, and we can go through it. So here I have a Kawasaki toy bike that I shot. So if you observe, the Yureka tries to make the pictures more vibrant, whereas the Redmi Note is very good in terms of reproducing the true colors itself. So it depends, it's not just the screen that is making it look vibrant. If you were to transfer these pictures onto your desktop and view them, you would still find this contrasting difference. If I were to zoom into the pictures and try to show you this word, the Yureka has the picture more crisp and the words come out more clear as compared to the Redmi Note 4G. So that's what it is. So Redmi Note 4G, more true to life colors, whereas the Yureka has vibrant pictures. So this was another close-up that I took. Now you can tell that the Yureka has more clarity in terms of the words and the details itself. So this was another picture that I took, CDs from back in the day. If I were to zoom in, you can clearly tell that the Yureka maintains the clarity in the words itself. The sharpness is a tad better than the Redmi Note. Not a huge margin of difference there, but still the tiny bit of clarity that you get in Yureka is clear here. So I'm going to show you many different samples as well. This was an indoor shot of my boomerang that I took indoors, and you can tell from the Yureka's picture that it allows for more light and hence delivers a better picture. Here you can see it's a tad washout. This was another picture, combination of different colors. Again, you can see that the Yureka tends to make it look more bright, and whereas the Redmi Note close to real life. So this is where you can clearly tell the low light performance. The Yureka, at least you can tell that there's a coconut tree and there's the sky, whereas the Redmi Note, it's a complete washout. I tried moving it to the dedicated night mode as well, but it didn't help. I'm not saying that the Yureka has a very good camera in terms of the performance in the low light, but when you compare these two devices, the Yureka comes out as a winner. A few other low light pictures here as well. At least you can tell that there's a house, there's a window, whereas there it's a complete washout. More pictures to demonstrate the color reproduction. This is to demonstrate how slightly clear the pictures are there or on the Yureka. So here is a bunch of pigeons. The one on the right is the Yureka, the one on the left is the Redmi. You can tell that the camera allows for more light on the Yureka, and hence the video is more brighter, whereas the Redmi Note slightly dull. So that's the difference in the lens, the hardware of the camera. So that was the normal video, slightly better on the Yureka itself. Now, there's one ability that the Yureka has which the Redmi Note doesn't have, and that's shooting slow motion pictures. So Here's a slow motion picture on the Yureka that I've shot. It tends to come out a bit flaky, but then it does have the ability, and we are told that subsequent software upgrade will make this slightly better. But then this is a very handy feature at this price point. So that was a slow motion picture. So let's go back to the camera app itself. On the Yureka, you get the CyanogenMod camera app, whereas on the Redmi Note, you have the MIUI app. Both of them are very simple, and both of them have a lot of options, whereas the Yureka, all you need to do is just swipe up and down, and it'll take you through different filters. Whereas the Redmi Note itself, you have to go inside the settings and play around with the many different settings that you have here for shooting different modes. So that's one difference. And toggling across the video and the picture, it's simple. Here you have a dedicated video button, whereas here you have a toggle switch. And there's also the selfie option as well. This also has the options where you can play around with many different settings for the camera, the video, and the general settings as well. So both of them have a very good camera app, have their own strengths. Now, the one on the Yureka is more slightly simpler, we would say. So in terms of the camera itself, what are our thoughts and what are the conclusions? Yureka has a better hardware, but the Redmi Note produces more true-to-life pictures. In terms of the low light conditions, we saw that the Yureka is a winner. So it all depends on what is your preference. You want more vibrant pictures, you would go for the Yureka. You want more true-to-life pictures, you would go for the Redmi Note. You want the ability to show slow motion videos, you would also choose the Yureka here. So that was the camera. Let's move on to the battery performance. The Yureka has a 2500 mAh battery, whereas the Redmi Note has a better battery in terms of 3100 mAh. On the face of it, we've also seen the Redmi Note perform very good, and you can easily get through 1.5 days with mid to average performance usage patterns. Whereas on the Yureka, we did get a screen on time of around 5 hours, a little more than 5 hours with normal usage, which included 1 hour of gaming and 1 hour of calls and a couple of hours of browsing and a little bit of multimedia. But then with the Yureka, with the screen size that it is handling, if your usage patterns become slightly aggressive, you'll find yourself running for the charger within a day itself. So that is how it boils down to. But the good thing in both of them is you can remove the battery and you can replace it if the performance degrades over a period of time, but that's way long in time rather than now. So that was the battery. Redmi Note comes out as a winner with a slight edge in terms of the battery capacity, the capacity that it has. Other performances, we move into the OS. Both of them come with the KitKat version of the Android, whereas the Yureka comes with the CyanogenMod. The MIUI comes with the MIUI version 5, and we are told that it's going to get an upgrade to MIUI 6. The Redmi Note would be the OS for the general users that has a lot of handy options within it. Like one would be the security application that you have here that has inbuilt options to clean the junk files and optimize the permissions and so on. Whereas CyanogenMod, you'll have to download the third-party applications and so on. Both of them have the very handy optimizing or the customization apps for themes. We know that the MIUI comes with tons and tons and tons of themes. So here you see, for now it has just 4 to 5 themes that you can choose. We are told that there are more in the way. So OS, it again boils down to your preference. You want to be a geeky guy and you want to toggle across different things, play around and different things like that, or you're a normal user, you want to use the OS as is with the kind of handy options it has, it would be the Redmi Note. Both of them come with frequent updates, so that option is also there. And both of them, you can do the devices and still retain the warranty. So that's another good thing. So a lot of similarities there as well. In terms of the audio performance itself, the Redmi Note comes as a slight winner here because the loudness is much better than the one on the Yureka. Though the sound becomes slightly jarring when you push it to the limits, it's still loud, whereas the one on the Yureka is a tad feeble. So that's another difference. In terms of the other audio aspects, the Yureka comes with a very handy app called the Audio Effects. If you're slightly more technical in terms of the audio world, you can play around with the many different settings here and optimize the sound output for you. But if you want the Redmi Note, then it also has the sound options wherein you can plug in different earphones like the Piston and so on, and it has a default application that will optimize the audio quality for you. So the difference between more geekiness and more plug and play, that's the preference that you'll have to pick with. And the gaming, that's one of the important questions that we keep receiving. I was very surprised that the Yureka, though I played a game as long as 1.5 hours, the amount of heating that it produced was much lesser than the one on the Redmi Note. So that's a real good thing. So let's go ahead and demonstrate one of the games we have here for you. Just open up the CSR game here. So this is where Yureka has a slight edge when it comes to gaming. The sound quality, the Redmi Note has an upper hand here. So I'll just go ahead and play a game here in Yureka. So this is where the Snapdragon processor comes into play. Performs much better than the processor that you find on the Redmi Note. So I'm just going to play a regulation game here. So I played long duration of gaming here. I did not observe any frame loss or anything of that sort, and things were smooth. So if you see the frames come out smooth and the audio quality also is acceptable. So that was a CSR game. I'll try to play another shooting game perhaps and demonstrate the abilities. So the frames come up smooth, there's no lag, there's no stutter. I'm bad at gaming, so excuse me for that. Let me open up the game here as well. So if you did observe, there was a tiny lag towards the end of it, just very short amount of stutter. So that was the gaming performance. The Redmi Note, in terms of the sound itself, it's very loud, and when you're playing games, that plays a very big role, in terms of the sound effects. There is an isolated lag here and there, so that is what the Redmi Note is. In conclusion, if you're looking for gaming, the kind of processor that the Yureka has, Yureka comes out as a clear winner here. If you're looking more towards the multimedia aspect, it would be the Redmi Note, in terms of the audio quality and things like that. Coming to the other aspects of both these phones, the Yureka, like we saw in the first video, is more slim. It's more lighter. So if you were to pick up both of these phones, you would easily pick the Yureka, merely just given to the fact that it is so light and so handy, and this is slightly heavier. And also given to the fact that this has a very glossy back, it tends to slip off a lot. Many people, when they're having big phones, they tend not to go for a very big flip cover or something of that sort, because it's already heavy, it's already big, and they don't want to make it more and more bulkier. So they're more likely to use it as is. So that is where Yureka comes very handy. The Redmi Note though has a very good positioning of the buttons itself. The Yureka has buttons on both the sides, so you'll find yourself using both the thumb and the other fingers as well. Whereas in the Redmi Note, I can hold it in one hand, and in just the thumb I can control different options that I have here. So that's a plus for the Redmi Note in terms of the button placements. In terms of the other aspects, we have Yureka coming with a dual SIM ability. This could be a big deal breaker for some because many of us are beginning to have the affinity towards the dual SIM ability, whereas the Redmi Note does not have that. So that's another thing. The Yureka here, we have the option to go for the on-screen buttons, whereas the Redmi Note does not have it. This could be nitpicking, but many of us would like to toggle between the buttons on the device and buttons on screen. But that's a personal preference again, if that is going to matter. So in conclusion, who is the winner? Well, that's a tough question to ask. It all depends on one's personal performances. If you are a gamer, if you're someone who considers yourself as a geeky community representation, and if you're very particular about the dual SIM, you would go for the Yureka. And obviously the camera, if you're looking for a camera that will produce more true to color, more true to life pictures, then it would be the Redmi Note. In addition to it, it would be the very good battery performance and also the multimedia performance, as well as the more generic use where you don't have to tweak a lot in order to get things working for you, because it's loaded with such tons and tons of handy options. In terms of the availability, both of them go on sale at the same time, so it's equally hard. The first thing is you're confused to pick either of these, and the second thing is it's such a difficult task to make a purchase. In terms of the price point, Yureka is bang for the buck. They've squished in so many goodies in such a good price of 8,999, and for the first sale, who have registered within December 25th, they'll get a free leather pouch which is worth closer to 1,000 rupees. So that's what it is. It all boils down to your personal performance, but if I'm from the geek community, I want more crisper pictures, I want the slow motion, I would probably go with the Yureka. So hope this video helps you in deciding which is the one that you have to pick. Now, do let us know all the questions that you have. You can subscribe to techpp.com, and we've answered many questions in the last few days, tons of them in fact. Until next video, this is GK from techpp.com saying goodbye. Bye-bye.